The digital clock on the marble vestibule wall read 2:30 p.m. as Marcus Thorne's Tesla Model S Plaid glided silently up the circular driveway of his minimalist Palo Alto estate. He wasn't supposed to be home for another 3 hours. The quarterly board meeting in San Francisco had wrapped early, a rare, efficient end to a brutal negotiation. Marcus Thorne lived by data, algorithms, and cold logic. It had made him a tech billionaire by 40, but the idea of arriving home unexpectedly always filled him with a strange, illogical mix of anticipation and dread. He'd built an empire, but he couldn't seem to build a happy home since his wife Sarah passed. As he approached the massive glass and oak doors, a sound stopped him cold. A child's cry. Not just any cry, but the desperate, heartbreaking wail of his 6-year-old daughter, Sophie. Marcus's blood iced over as another sound hit him, one that turned his stomach. Harsh, cruel words, shouted in fury. "You stupid, clumsy little burden. Look what you've done to my custom silk rug. You are nothing but a mistake, just like your pathetic, dying mother." It was the voice of Victoria, the woman he'd married to protect his daughter. Victoria's voice cut the air like a whip, harsh and unforgiving. "What city are you watching this video from, and what time is it? By the way, if you're enjoying my videos, I'd be so happy if you could subscribe to my channel and like this video." Marcus's hand froze on the high-tech doorknob. Sophie's voice was high and desperate, the words tumbling out between sobs. "Please, Mommy Victoria, I'm sorry. I was trying to reach my water glass, but my crutches slipped. I spilled." "I didn't mean to." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. His late wife, Sarah, had been the love of his life, and Sophie was the precious gift she had left him. He had married Victoria 2 years ago, believing she would be the loving, maternal figure Sophie desperately needed after losing Sarah to cancer when she was just 4. Another shattered cry from Sophie spurred him into motion. Marcus burst through the front door and froze at the scene. In the center of his minimalist, multi-million-dollar living room, his daughter was crumpled on the floor next to an overturned water glass. Her small body was shaking. Her special pink crutches, the ones decorated with the butterfly stickers she loved, lay scattered beside her. Victoria stood over her, arms crossed, her face a mask of disgust. "Victoria." Marcus's voice echoed in the cavernous room, so forceful that the glasses on the bar trembled. "What the hell is going on here?" Victoria spun around, her face instantly morphing into a mask of surprise, and something else. Fear. For a fraction of a second, Marcus saw something in her eyes that chilled him more than Sophie's cries. It wasn't just anger. It was deeper. It looked almost like hatred. "Marcus, darling." "You're home early," Victoria said, her voice immediately shifting to its usual syrupy, high society tone. She smoothed her blonde hair and adjusted her designer dress. "Sophie just had a small accident with her water. I was just trying to teach her to be more careful with expensive things. This silk rug was imported, you know." Marcus looked down at his daughter. Sophie's blonde hair was matted around her face, and her big blue eyes, so much like her mother's, were wide with pain and confusion. But the thing that broke Marcus's heart was the look of defeated acceptance in her eyes, as if this wasn't the first time. "Daddy," Sophie whispered, holding her trembling arms out to him. "I was just trying to get my water, but when I leaned wrong on my crutches, everything fell. I said sorry so many times." Marcus knelt, his heart cracking. As he gently scooped her into his arms, he noticed something that made his blood boil. Sophie flinched slightly when he touched her arm, and he could see faded red marks on her wrists. Not bruises, but raw red marks, as if someone had gripped her far too tightly. "How long has this been happening?" Marcus asked, his voice deathly quiet as he stood up, holding Sophie protectively. Victoria's face paled, but her voice remained firm. "I don't know what you mean, Marcus. Children with disabilities require firm guidance. Sophie needs to learn that the world won't just adapt to her limitations forever." The way she said limitations made Marcus's jaw tighten. Sophie had been born with a rare condition affecting the muscles in her legs, but she was one of the brightest children he had ever known. Her mind was exceptional. She was already reading at a 4th grade level and could solve math problems that astounded her tutors. "Daddy," Sophie whispered against his shoulder, "I'm scared of making her mad again." Those words changed everything. Marcus looked at Victoria with new eyes, seeing past the beautiful facade to something cold and calculating. How many times had Victoria brushed off Sophie's tears as tantrums or attention-seeking behavior? "Pack your bags, Victoria," Marcus said, his voice cutting the tense silence like a razor. "You have 1 hour. My security will escort you out." Victoria's mask completely shattered. "You can't be serious. Over this little drama queen's antics? She's manipulating you, Marcus, can't you see? She does this on purpose for attention." But Marcus was already walking toward the grand, floating staircase, carrying Sophie to safety. As he ascended, he heard Victoria's voice rise behind him, no longer sweet, but sharp with desperation. "You will regret this, Marcus Thorne. You have no idea what you are throwing away. That child will ruin your life just like her mother tried to." There was something in her tone that promised this wasn't over. Something that suggested Victoria had secrets. When he reached the top of the stairs, Sophie looked up at him with those impossibly wise eyes. "Daddy, why does Mommy Victoria say such mean things to me? Did I really disappoint her because I need my crutches?" Marcus's heart shattered. He knew this was only the beginning. He would uncover every single secret. No one would ever make his daughter feel small again. But as Victoria's bitter laugh echoed from downstairs, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that getting rid of her wouldn't be simple. 3 hours later, Marcus sat in his state-of-the-art home office, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in low tones to his head of security while Sophie slept fitfully in her room. The emotional wounds his daughter had suffered told a story he wished he had seen sooner. "I want a full investigation into Victoria Vance's background," Marcus told Ron Carter, his security chief, a man who handled everything from corporate espionage to his personal safety. "Everything. I don't care what it costs. Sir, I did a basic check when you got engaged. It came back clean. Wealthy family from Boston. Parents deceased. Heiress to a trust. Do it again. Deeper this time. Use every resource." Marcus rubbed his temples. "And Ron, I want to know everything about the night my wife Sarah died." Victoria was there, as her best friend, comforting her. The silence on the line stretched. "Sir, is there something specific you're looking for?" Marcus thought of Victoria's words. "You have no idea what you're throwing away. Find everything, Ron. Something doesn't add up." After hanging up, Marcus went to Sophie's room. She was awake, staring at the ceiling. Her room was a princess's paradise, a stark contrast to the cold minimalism of the rest of the house. "Can't sleep, my angel?" Sophie turned to him, her eyes red-rimmed. "Daddy, I have to tell you something important, but you have to promise you won't be disappointed in me." Marcus sat on the edge of her bed, taking her small hand. "I could never be disappointed in you, sweetheart." "What is it?" "I've been keeping secrets," she whispered. "After Mommy Sarah died, I started paying attention to grown-up talk because I was scared. Dr. Albright said I use observation as a coping mechanism. Dr. Albright was Sophie's child psychologist. Mommy Victoria says bad things about Mommy Sarah when she thinks I can't hear. She says Mommy Sarah was weak and that's why she died. She says I'm going to end up just the same because I have her blood." Rage flared in Marcus's chest, but he kept his voice soft. "And what do you think about that?" Sophie's eyes glittered with an intelligence far beyond her 6 years. "I think Mommy Victoria is scared of something. Dr. Albright says people only say mean things when they're scared or hurt. And Victoria? She's scared of you finding out." "Finding out what, my angel?" "Sometimes she talks on the phone when she thinks I'm in my afternoon quiet time. But I'm very good at being still." Sophie's voice dropped to a whisper. "She talks to someone named Rick about money and papers and about making sure something stays hidden forever." A chill ran down Marcus's spine. "Do you remember anything else?" "She always gets really mad when she mentions Mommy Sarah's will. She says things like, 'That woman thought she was so clever. We'll see who has the last laugh. Sarah's will.'" Marcus had handled the legal affairs, but Victoria had been surprisingly interested in the details. At the time, he thought she was just being helpful. "Daddy, there's something else." Sophie's voice got even smaller. "Sometimes, late at night, I hear Mommy Victoria in your office. She uses the computer and looks at papers. I know because my bedroom is right above your study, and the old floorboards creak." Marcus's blood ran cold. His office contained confidential business documents, personal financial information, and all of Sarah's personal papers, which he had never had the heart to sort through. "Sophie, this is very important." "Do you know what papers?" She looked at the pink folder, the one with Mommy Sarah's name on it, and she always looks in the little silver box where you keep Mommy's special jewelry. Sometimes she takes pictures of things with her phone. Marcus knew exactly what she meant. Sarah's jewelry box held not only her precious pieces, but also personal letters, and a key to a safe deposit box, one Sarah had mentioned before she died, but which Marcus had never opened. It had felt too final. "Daddy, I don't think Mommy Victoria is who she says she is. One time I heard her on the phone, and she used a different name. She called herself Victoria Monroe." A sound from downstairs made them both freeze. Footsteps in the foyer, too confident to be the housekeeper. "Daddy," Sophie whispered, instinctively moving closer to him. Marcus stood, every protective instinct screaming, "Stay here, my angel. Lock the door behind me, and don't open it for anyone but me." As he headed for the stairs, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Checking on your precious little princess? Some secrets are too dangerous to ignore, Marcus. Your wife knew more than she let on. Check her safe deposit box if you want to know what you're really dealing with. A friend." The text was followed by an address for a Bank of America private vault and a key number, the very same box he had never opened. With shaking hands, Marcus realized Victoria hadn't just been torturing his daughter. She had been playing a much longer, more dangerous game, and Sarah's death might not have been as natural as everyone believed. From upstairs came the sound of Sophie's door locking, followed by her small voice. "Daddy, please be careful. I love you." As the footsteps moved through his house, footsteps that definitely belonged to Victoria, returning despite his order, Marcus realized his daughter's safety, and possibly their lives, depended on finding out whatever Victoria had been searching for. The next morning dawned gray and misty, matching Marcus's mood as he sat across from Detective Helen Chen at the Palo Alto Police Precinct. He had called 911 after confirming Victoria had indeed re-entered the house, violating a verbal trespass warning. His study showed subtle signs of being disturbed, and Sarah's jewelry box had been moved. "Mr. Thorne, I understand your concern about the emotional treatment of your daughter," Detective Chen said cautiously, "but proving psychological abuse is challenging. What we need is concrete evidence of threatening behavior or, as you suspect, financial misconduct." "Detective," Marcus interrupted, sliding a folder across the metal table. "These are reports from Sophie's pediatrician, her teachers, and her therapist, Dr. Albright. For the past year, Dr. Albright has documented significant behavioral changes in Sophie, increased anxiety, withdrawal, and what she calls hypervigilance, atypical of children in emotionally unsafe environments." Detective Chen opened the folder. Her eyebrows rose. Dr. Albright's notes mention Sophie has developed adult-level observation skills and excessive submissive behaviors. That's troubling. There's more. "I have reason to believe Victoria may have been involved in something related to my first wife's death, and she has been systematically searching Sarah's personal effects." He explained about the safe deposit box, Victoria's mysterious phone calls, and the threatening text. Detective Chen listened with growing interest. "Mr. Thorne, your first wife died of cancer, correct? Are you suggesting foul play?" Marcus hesitated. "I don't know yet, but Sarah's oncologist, Dr. David Reed, called me yesterday with disturbing information. Apparently, Victoria visited Sarah multiple times during her final week, bringing her special herbal teas to help with the pain. Dr. Reed said Sarah's condition deteriorated much more rapidly after those visits. Her symptoms changed in ways that weren't consistent with her cancer's progression. He said he's wondered about it for 2 years, but didn't want to cause more pain." Detective Chen jotted notes. "We'd need substantial evidence for that. Do you have any concrete proof of misconduct?" "Not yet," Marcus said, frustration mounting. "But I'm going to that safe deposit box today. Whatever Victoria was looking for, it might have the answers. Mr. Thorne, I should mention, after your call last night, we ran a preliminary check on Victoria Vance. There are discrepancies in her background." Marcus leaned forward. What kind of discrepancies? The trust fund story doesn't add up. While there was a Victoria Vance from Boston, that woman died in a car accident 5 years ago. Your wife appears to have assumed her identity. The words hit Marcus like a punch. Then who is she? We're still investigating, but we believe her real name is Victoria Monroe. She was a licensed practical nurse, LPN, who worked at several hospitals before her certification was revoked under suspicious circumstances. What circumstances? Detective Chen consulted her notes. Multiple patient deaths during her shifts that couldn't be fully explained. No charges were ever filed due to lack of evidence, but the medical board found enough concern to revoke her license. An hour later, Marcus stood in the sterile vault of the Bank of America, with Sophie at his side. He had brought her partly for safety. He didn't trust leaving her anywhere Victoria could find her, and partly because Sophie had insisted she had a right to know her mother's secrets. Ready for this? My angel? Marcus asked, holding Sarah's key. Sophie nodded solemnly, gripping her crutches tighter. Mommy wanted us to find this. I can feel it. The box was larger than Marcus had expected. Inside, beneath Sarah's important documents and some valuable jewelry, was a manila envelope marked, for Marcus, if something happens to me. Beside it, a smaller envelope, for Sophie, when she is old enough to understand. With trembling hands, Marcus opened the larger envelope. Inside were photographs, medical reports, and a handwritten letter from Sarah. His heart stopped as he read the first line. My dearest Marcus, if you are reading this, then I was right to be afraid of Victoria. Sophie leaned against him, her advanced reading skills allowing her to follow along. I know this will be hard to believe, but Victoria is not who she seems. Her real name is Victoria Monroe. She isn't an heiress. She's an ex-nurse who lost her license after being suspected of accelerating the deaths of patients at several hospitals. I hired a private investigator when she began visiting me regularly. Something about her behavior felt wrong. The way she insisted on preparing my medications. The strange questions about my will and Sophie's trust. And especially the way she looked at our daughter when she thought no one was watching. Marcus, I believe Victoria has been slowly poisoning me. The symptoms I experienced in my final weeks were not consistent with my cancer. I've hidden evidence in our home. Look behind the false panel in our bedroom closet. There is a recording device that captured several of her phone calls with someone she calls Rick. The most terrifying discovery is what I learned about her true intentions. Victoria sees Sophie as an obstacle to accessing my trust and your fortune. The will I filed last month leaves everything to Sophie until she is 25, with you as trustee. Victoria gets nothing if she isn't married to you, and even less if something happens to both of you. Please don't let her win. Don't let her hurt our precious girl. There is more evidence in the smaller envelope, but please wait until Sophie is older. With all my love, always, Sarah. P.S. Dr. David Reed has been asking questions about my treatment. He is a good man. Trust him if you need medical expertise to prove what Victoria has done. Marcus's hands were shaking so violently he could barely hold the letter. Sophie, reading over his shoulder, had gone very pale but remained remarkably calm. Daddy, she whispered. Mommy knew. Among the other documents were bank statements showing large payments to Victoria under her real name, dating back 8 months before Sarah's death. There were also medical reports from 3 different hospitals where Victoria had worked, all showing patterns of unexplained patient deaths during her shifts. But the most chilling discovery was a handwritten note from Victoria herself. The girl's condition is the perfect cover. Accidents happen to disabled children all the time. No one questions a tragedy when it seems inevitable. Marcus felt Sophie tense beside him as she read those words. Daddy, that's about me. Before Marcus could answer, his phone rang. Unknown number. Marcus. Victoria's voice was different now. Cold, calculating, with no pretense of sweetness. I assume you've been busy playing detective this morning. Victoria. Where are you? Close enough to know you visited the bank. Did you enjoy reading Sarah's paranoid fantasies? She was always too suspicious for her own good. You killed her. It wasn't a question. Victoria laughed, a sound devoid of all warmth. Sarah was dying anyway, Marcus. I just helped her along. Spared everyone a lot of suffering, really. It was merciful. And you were planning to hurt Sophie, too. Sophie is a complication that needs to be resolved. Do you have any idea how much money that child represents? Your entire fortune, Marcus. Under the right circumstances, I could have inherited it all. Marcus felt Sophie's hand grip his. Her small body was trembling, but her face was set with determination. You're sick, Victoria. I'm practical. I've been planning this for 2 years, Marcus. Ever since I learned about Sarah's trust from the hospital records. Did you really think our meeting was a coincidence? Your wife's cancer was an opportunity presented to me. The police know everything, Victoria. Detective Chen, Dr. Reed, they're investigating Sarah's death. Oh, Marcus. You sweet, naive man. You think the police can protect you? I've covered my tracks. And besides, I have insurance you don't know about. Marcus's chest tightened. What are you talking about? While you were playing detective, I was doing some digging of my own. Did you know your home security system has been recording everything for months? Including some very interesting conversations between you and certain business partners. Marcus's mind raced. He realized she was talking about the private conversations he'd had with his lawyers about aggressive, but legal business tactics. I've also been documenting some very interesting financial transactions, Victoria continued. It's amazing how easy it is to make legitimate business look suspicious. Offshore accounts, leveraged buyouts. The SEC and the IRS would have a field day. You're bluffing, am I? Check your email, darling. I've sent you a small preview. If anything happens to me, copies go to the FBI, the IRS, and several financial crimes investigators. Your tech empire won't survive the scrutiny. His phone buzzed. The email contained documents that, taken out of context, looked criminal. What do you want, Victoria? $75 million, transferred to an account I'll send you. In exchange, I disappear forever, and all the evidence against you disappears with me. And if I refuse, then you'll spend the next decade in a federal prison while I raise your precious Sophie as my own daughter. And Marcus, I'll make sure she understands every single day that her daddy chose greed over her. The line went dead. Marcus stared at the evidence before him. Proof of Victoria's guilt, but also proof of her trap. Sophie tugged on his jacket. Daddy, she's lying about some of it. What do you mean, my angel? The recordings she says she has, I know where the security system saves the files. I asked Ron, head of security, to show me last year when I was worried about strangers. The system only keeps recordings for 30 days, unless someone specifically saves them. And I don't think Mommy Victoria knows the master password to save them permanently. Marcus stared at his daughter, realizing her intelligence might be their salvation. And Daddy, I know something else. When Mommy Victoria talks to Rick on the phone, she uses the speakerphone. She thinks I can't hear her from upstairs, but the sound travels really well through the old heating ducts. What did you hear, my angel? Rick is scared of her. She has something on him. Something about a fire at a hospital where people died. She's been forcing him to help her by threatening him too. A spark of hope. If Victoria was blackmailing Rick, maybe they could turn him. There's one more thing, Daddy. Yesterday, when I was supposed to be napping, I saw Victoria in your office again. But this time, she was taking papers out of your safe. Your real safe, Marcus's heart hammered. If Victoria had been stealing proprietary business documents, that was a federal crime, Sophie. Can you remember what papers? I don't think I could remember them, Daddy, she said. But I took pictures of them with my tablet, because I was worried she was stealing from you. Marcus looked at his extraordinary daughter. While he had been blind, Sophie had been quietly gathering evidence. Should I show the pictures to Detective Chen? Sophie asked. Before he could answer, his phone buzzed again. Another text from Victoria. Time is ticking, Marcus. And just so you know, I'm not the only one watching your daughter today. Make the wrong choice, and you will never see her again. The threat had just escalated from financial ruin to kidnapping. But as he looked at his brave, intelligent daughter, Marcus realized Victoria had made one crucial mistake. She had underestimated Sophie. Daddy, Sophie said quietly. I'm scared, but I think I know how we can trap her. Do you want to hear my plan? Back at the mansion, Marcus paced the living room as Detective Chen and 2 agents, including Agent Martinez from the FBI, set up recording equipment. Sophie sat on the sofa, tablet in her lap. Mr. Thorne, Agent Martinez said, your daughter's photos, they're damning. They're time-stamped. They show Ms. Monroe accessing your safe and taking proprietary corporate documents. That alone is enough for an arrest warrant. I have to show you the phone calls, Sophie said, navigating her tablet. I told Dr. Albright that Victoria was being mean, and she taught me how to use the voice memo app if I ever got scared and needed a grown-up to hear what happened. Sophie played a recording. It was Victoria's voice speaking to Rick. Remember Chicago? The fire? Do you want that investigation reopened? Then you'll do exactly as I say. Agent Martinez looked at Detective Chen. The Chicago hospital fire. We thought that case was cold. She's blackmailing Rick. He's the friend who sent me the warning about the bank, Marcus realized. She wants to meet to get the money, Marcus said. It's a trap, Daddy, Sophie said. But what if we trap her? Sophie's plan was simple and brilliant. Victoria believed she was smarter than everyone. She would want to gloat. Where does she feel safest? Agent Martinez asked. The hospital, Sophie said instantly. Stanford Children's, where Mommy Sarah, and where I go for my checkups. Victoria knows the layout. She'll feel secure there. The hospital cafeteria was bustling with its usual afternoon activity. Agent Martinez and his team were already in position, disguised as doctors, maintenance staff, and visitors. Marcus, wearing a wire, walked in. Sophie was at his side, her small hand gripping his. Daddy, Sophie had insisted. If I'm there, she'll think you're desperate. She'll be more confident. She'll talk more. They found Victoria in a corner booth, looking every bit the grieving stepmother in a tasteful black dress. She smiled as they approached. Marcus, darling. And sweet little Sophie. I didn't expect you to bring her. I go everywhere with Daddy now, Sophie said simply. I don't like to be away from him. Victoria's smile faltered slightly. Of course, sweetie. After yesterday, I'm sure you're confused. I'm not confused, Sophie replied calmly. I understand everything. Marcus sat, placing the briefcase on the table. Victoria, let's get to it. Victoria's eyes glittered. $75 million. In exchange, I disappear and the problematic evidence disappears with me. What evidence? Marcus asked, playing his part. Oh, Marcus, where to begin? Let's start with your wife's death. Did you know Sarah suspected me? Even hired a PI, but she was right. I was introducing certain substances into her medication. Just enough to speed things up. Why? Because it was taking too long, Victoria hissed. She was weak, pathetic. And you were my ticket. Sophie spoke up, her voice clear. You hated my mommy. Victoria turned to Sophie, her smile chilling. Hate is a strong word, sweetie. I just found her unnecessary. She had everything I wanted and was too weak to hold on to it. You were mean to me because you wanted my daddy's money, Sophie stated. Victoria's mask dropped. You were an obstacle, child. A very inconvenient one. Did you know that if something tragic happened to you, your father would inherit your trust? And then if something happened to him, his grieving widow would get everything. You were planning to kill us both, Marcus said. Eventually. But you forced my hand yesterday, now. If I don't get paid, the IRS will destroy your company, and I'll file for emergency custody. A judge will see a father under federal investigation. I'll get her, and I'll take very good care of her, just like I took care of her mother. You're admitting you killed Sarah, Marcus said. I'm admitting I helped a dying woman find peace, and I'm pointing out that accidents happen to children on crutches. Across the cafeteria, Agent Martinez gave the signal. There's just one problem with your plan, Victoria, Marcus said. Oh? And what's that? Sophie smiled. You forgot that my mommy taught me bullies are just scared people. And you forgot to check who else was listening. Sophie held up her tablet. I've been recording everything, Mommy Victoria. Just like Agent Martinez taught me. Victoria's face went white. You little... She lunged across the table. Before she could touch Sophie, Agent Martinez and 3 other agents surrounded the table. Victoria Monroe, you are under arrest for the murder of Sarah Thorne, conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and multiple federal crimes. As she was cuffed, Victoria spat at Sophie. You think you've won? This isn't over. Yes, it is, Sophie said quietly. Bad people always lose when good people work together. 6 months later, Marcus stood in his home office, watching Sophie in the garden. She was planting flowers. With Dr. David Reed, the trial had revealed everything. Victoria was sentenced to life without parole. Her accomplice, Rick, had turned state's witness. But the biggest shock had come from the small envelope Sarah left for Sophie. The one to be opened when she was old enough. Inside was another letter and a DNA report. Dr. Reed wasn't just Sarah's oncologist. Years ago, before Marcus, he and Sarah had been in love. Life had pulled them apart, but their bond hadn't broken. When Sarah learned her cancer was terminal, she had confided her secret to David. From a test long ago, she had always known. Sophie was not Marcus's biological daughter. She was his. She had been afraid to tell Marcus, afraid to break his heart. When Marcus read the letter, he wasn't angry. He was grateful. He found David and showed him. Now their family was different. Uncle David, as Sophie called him, was a constant, gentle presence. Daddy, Sophie called from the garden. She could walk short distances now, her legs stronger. Come see? The butterflies are back. Marcus smiled, joining them. Your mom loved butterflies, David said softly, helping Sophie pat the soil. I know, Sophie said. She said I was like a butterfly, that I might look fragile, but I'd grow strong wings and fly. Your mom was very wise, David said, his eyes misty. I have an idea, Daddy, Sophie said. I want to use part of my trust to help other kids. Kids who are scared of a grown-up like I was. Maybe we can call it Sophie's Wings. Marcus felt his heart swell. His daughter, who had endured so much, now only wanted to help others. He looked at David, who nodded, a look of shared pride passing between them. Victoria had tried to destroy their family for money and jealousy. But in doing so, she had failed. She hadn't broken them. She had revealed a deeper truth. I think Mommy Sarah would love that, Marcus said, pulling his daughter close. I love our family. Daddy, Sophie whispered. Me too, my angel, Marcus replied, looking over her head at David. Me too. Victoria had tried to steal a fortune, but Marcus had found something priceless. His family was stronger, truer, and built on a love no lie could ever break. The butterfly indeed had found her wings.